The Basilica of the Holy Cross in Jerusalem is a Roman Catholic minor basilica and titular church in Escolino, Rome, Italy. It is one of the 7 pilgrim churches of Rome. According to tradition, the basilica was consecrated circa 325 to house the relics of the Passion of Jesus Christ, brought to Rome from the Holy Land by Saint Empress Helena, mother of Roman Emperor Constantine I. At that time, the basilica's floor was covered with soil from Jerusalem, thus acquiring the title in Jerusalem. It is not dedicated to the Holy Cross, which is in Jerusalem, but the basilica itself is in Jerusalem, in the sense that a piece of Jerusalem was moved to Rome for its foundation. The current cardinal priest of the titular Ses Crucis in Jerusalem is Miloslav Vlk. History. At one time the site of the Temple of El Gabal, or Sol Invictus, the god of Emperor Elagabalus, the basilica was later built around a room in St. Empress Helena's imperial palace, the Palazzo Sessoriano, which she converted into a chapel circa AD 320. Some decades later, the chapel was converted into a true basilica, called the Heleniana or Sessoriana. After falling into neglect, the Pope Lucius II restored the basilica. For the occasion it assumed a Romanesque appearance, with a nave, 2 aisles, belfry, and porch. The basilica was also modified in the 16th century, but it assumed its current Baroque appearance under Pope Benedict XIV, who had been its titular prior to his elevation to the papacy. New streets were also opened to connect the basilica to 2 other Roman major basilicas, namely, San Giovanni in Laterano and Santa Maria Maggiore. The facade of the basilica, which was designed by Pietro Patalacqua and Domenico Gregorini, shares the typical late Roman Baroque style of these other basilicas. 21st century. In May 2011, the Cistercian abbey linked to the basilica was suppressed by a decree of the Congregation for Institutes of Consecrated Life and Societies of Apostolic Life, following the results of an apostolic visitation prompted by years of serious problems, including significant liturgical disputes. According to a Vatican spokesman, an inquiry found evidence of liturgical and financial irregularities as well as lifestyles that were probably not in keeping with that of a monk. According to Il Messaggero, Simone Fioriso, an abbot described as a flamboyant former Milan fashion designer, transformed the church, renovating its crumbling interior and opening a hotel, holding regular concerts, a televised Bible reading marathon, and regularly attracting celebrity visitors with an unconventional approach. Relics of the Passion of the Lord. Several famous relics of disputed authenticity are housed in the Cappella del Reliquia, built in 1930 by architect Florestano di Fausto, including part of the Elogium or Titulus Crucis, i.e., the panel which was hung on Christ's cross, 2 thorns of the crown of thorns, part of a nail, and 3 small wooden pieces of the true cross. A much larger piece of the true cross was taken from the basilica on the instructions of Pope Urban VIII in 1629 to St. Peter's Basilica, where it is kept near the colossal statue of St. Empress Helena sculpted by Andrea Bolgi in 1639. Chapel of St. Empress Helena. The relics were once in the ancient street, Helena's Chapel, which is partly subterranean. Here the founder of the basilica had some soil from Calvary dispersed. In the vault is a mosaic designed by Milozzo da Filai before 1485 depicting Jesus blessing, histories of the cross, and various saints. The altar has a huge statue of Saint Helena, which was obtained from an ancient statue of the pagan goddess Juno discovered at Ostia. Other art. The apse of the basilica includes frescoes telling the legends of the True Cross, attributed to Milozzo, Antoniazzo Romano, and Marco Parmesan. The Museum of the Basilica houses a mosaic icon from the 14th century which, according to the legend, Pope Gregory I had made after a vision of Christ. Notable also is the tomb of Cardinal Francisco de los Angeles Quinones, sculpted by Jacopo Sansovino in 1536. Peter Paul Rubens, who had arrived in Rome by way of Mantua in 1601, was commissioned by Archduke Albert of Austria to paint an altarpiece with 3 panels for the chapel of St. Helena. 2 of these paintings, St. Helena with the True Cross and the Mocking of Christ, are now in Grasse, France. The third, the Elevation of the Cross, was lost. Before his marriage, the Archduke had been made a cardinal in the basilica, cardinal priest since 1120. Amicus. Gerardo Cacciani Musai, Ubaldo Cacciani Musai, Arduendo da Piacenza, Albinus, Leone Brancalwan, Pietro d'Aquila, Teodorico Ranieri, Raymond de Canilac, Gui de Misec, Cosma Gentile Melioratia, Giovanni Melioratia, Francesco Lando, Niccolo Albigacia, Domenico Capranica, Angelo Capranica, Pedro González de Mendoza, Bernardino López de Carvajal, in commendam, Antonio Maria Siocchi del Monte, in commendam, Francisco de los Angeles Quinones, Marcello Cerbini, Bartolomé de la Cuevada Albuquerque, Giovanni Antonio Capizzucci, Francisco Pacheco de Toledo, Albert VII, Archduke of Austria, Francisco de Muxicar Guzmán de Avila, Ascanio Colonna, Antonio Zapata y Cisneros, Gaspar de Borja y Velasco, Baltasar Moscoso y Sandoval, Alfonso Litta, Johann Eberhard Neidhart S.J., Decio Azzolino the Younger, vacant, Pedro de Salazar, Ulisse Giuseppe Gozzardini, Prospero Lambertini, Giuseppe Ferreo, Gioacchino Basozzi, Luca Melchiorre Tempe, Lodovico Valenti, vacant, Nicola Serra, vacant, Antonio Eugenio Visconti, František de Paula Hrzanz Tarasova, vacant, Alessandro Malvasia, Placido Zerla, Alessandro Giustiniani, Antonio Maria Caggiano de Azevedo, Janos Saitovsky, Raffaele Monaco La Valletta, Lucido Maria Parocchi, Pierre Lambert Goossens, Benedetto Lorenzelli, Willem Marinus van Rossum, Pietro Fiume Biondi, Giuseppe Antonio Ferrata, Ephraim Forni, Victor Razafi Mahatratra, Miloslav Vlk.